In the heart of Madar Islam, located in Nairobi, Roslyn Nyambura's day opens with her daily chores in a dark shanty whose corners she can only maneuver with the help of a sooty tin lamp, even during the day. Nyambura represents the story of many urban poor dwellers across Kenya's cities and towns.
Mimi naishi tu hapa kwa hii nyumba kutoka mwaka wa 91.
Her daily life is confronted by many challenges. There is no electricity, no piped water, no toilet, nor waste disposal systems, not even enough space to move around her one-roomed tin house. There is virtually no dignity for this lady who has lived in the slum for decades. Nyambura has previously offered manual labor to the middle and high-class homes in Nairobi City, but that is now history because her age and lifestyle are slowly sapping her energy, which is her sole asset in the quest for casual employment. Nyambura and her neighbors live with the harsh realities of slum life, which is often identified with congestion, crime, energy poverty, poor shelter, and a lack of or poor water and sanitation facilities.
If we don't have services like, safe sanitation, we've had a lot of our daughters, our mothers being raped while trying to access services, basic services like sanitation and so on. So the links between services and security are quite evident, and they need to be explored more. We are also of opinion, and we think this is the right opinion, that really we can make our places safe minus police. Because issues of safety include things like making places lit.
We cannot have 2.6 million Nairobi dwellers living in 200 slums in Nairobi, while you have golf courses, you have Ngong rescues for horses, and other leisure facilities that occupy chunks of land which are as big in size as the chunks of land reserved or occupied by the poor. The problem is not the poor people, the problem is our economy of land distribution.
Several interventions are being done at government and private sector levels to address the needs which may make Nyambura attain her socio-economic rights. Above all, Nyambura, like many of her neighbors, lack a voice and a platform to participate in decisions that are made by authorities and which affect her living conditions. The Civil Society Urban Development Program (CSUDP), through support from Swedish Embassy in Nairobi, has partnered with various implementing agencies to keep the urban agenda alive.
Through the initiative of coordinating various actors to sort of do a kind of a relay, the CSUDP has been very successful in developing sharing of asset wealth between various organizations to ultimately then improve the lots of the urban poor.
The program is organized in 3 key pillars, including coordination of actors, service delivery, and policy impact, all with the aim of contributing to urban development positively by realizing the untapped potential that lies in the marginalized urban poor environments.
2 things: the poverty of voice, but 2, the poverty of dignity. Indignified people have no place in society because they don't believe in themselves because of their conditions. People who are divorced also have absolutely no way of articulating their demands. So the thing that these major cities and towns need to do for the urban poor, one is to institutionalize the space that has been created for them around the table, because the law has created that space, that you're allowed to come in through, for instance, the loofs that were created by CSUDP. You're allowed to come in and articulate your demands. So that space needs to be fortified within that. But it is insufficient for the urban poor to have voice, to have space to articulate their demands. There has to be hearing on the part of the county governments.
CSUDP has successfully identified, strengthened, and coordinated urban civil society organization networks and coalitions and selected local authorities for effective delivery of the program. Under its pillar of service delivery, the program has facilitated proper basic service delivery by inculcating the rights-based approach on both the duty bearers and rights holders.
Now you have rights declared, but how do people realize rights? So through CSUDP, we've been able to develop various models of realizing rights. We've developed a model of realizing right to water, for example, where you engage with utility companies. First of all, help them appreciate that this is not an issue of needs or development delivery, but it's an issue of delivering rights of a particular category of people. And then you see, so what are the barriers? For example, delivering water, one of the barriers is where is the trunk line? You could be living in one place, but the trunk line that supplies water is 1 kilometer away. So you can't afford it, though there's a trunk line. So through programs such as what we are calling now social connection policy, water companies are able to connect the urban poor from the trunk line to their households.
In partnership with Pamoja Trust, CSUDP has improved efficiency, quality and access to water for over 200,000 urban poor through the adoption of new partnership models of modern sanitation blocks and water delivery between community-based organizations and water companies. This model is popularly known as Community Delegated Water Delivery Model, where water and sanitation facilities are run by locals.
Tumekuwa na maendeleo. Maendeleo ni ile choo tumejenga pale.
Na hapo ndani tuko na maji. Mtu anakuja na shilingi 2, shilingi 3 namna hii kwa sababu ile ni kitu ya community, sio kitu ya profit making.
Our main achievement here, I can say, has been to improve the access of slum dwellers to clean and affordable water. At the same time, we've worked in schools, and we look at students as the change agents. And in fact, we look at the students as a link between the schools and the neighboring communities. So if you want to improve slums, for example, we are better off teaching the students how to improve their hygiene. Right now, we've been working in 10 schools here in the city of Nairobi, improving water and sanitation services in those schools. And the impact has been tremendous. In some of the schools we've worked to find that the intake of the students improves dramatically as soon as we have rehabilitated water and sanitation in those schools.
Now Nyambura has found renewed hope in a community group that is facilitated by Pamoja Trust.
Tunapendana sisi wote katika kijiji sababu ya ushirikiano wetu kupitia kwa PT. Kweli 207 kulikuwa kubaya, lakini tukaweza kumobilize vijana. Au kulikuwa vita kutoka pande ile na pande hii. Mawe hapa ndio ilikuwa depot ya mawe, lakini tukajaribu hiyo chini, hata wengine walikuwa wanataka kuchoma. Lakini tukachukua maji, wengine wakachukua maji, wakapohesa, wakafanya nini, na hiyo vita tukapigana ikakwisha.
The group also engages in urban agriculture to add to the nutritional value of their daily diets and to generate income for the poor urban households.
Wameweza kutufungua mawazo yetu, tukaweza kuona tu si kukaa tu ati kwamba sisi ni watu wa slum, sisi ni watu ambao hatuna mwelekeo, lakini saa hii tunaweza jivunia. Saa hii kama mimi napata mapato kupitia hii sungura na mboga zetu zile mliona pale kwa choo, hata tunanunua. Pia nafuga kuku na hizo kuku zinataga, hiyo mayai yake tunauza.
Besides sanitation facilities in urban agriculture, Pamoja Trust trains slum communities in financial savings and is now offering legal aid to such groups in order to secure land tenure.
So again, through CSUDP, we've been able to develop models that suggest that security of land tenure is not equal to land ownership. It is an assertion, in fact, of the rights to occupancy, which may mean I've lived here for 10 years, this is public land, so what do? Give me temporary occupation license. But how do you give temporary occupation license? You need to know how many people live in that location. The Mergers Trust and CSUDP have developed robust enumerations and participatory integrated urban planning models that then would help you to say that we're not just talking about squatters, but we're talking about 10,000 squatters, and these 10,000 squatters are of the following characteristics. So you see in that model, you're moving beyond just talking about right to housing or access to land, to developing models of realizing access to land. Housing, the same thing.
Mwangaza Group, for instance, is on course exploring options of building better shelters for themselves.
Na tuko na savings katika benki yetu, members wanafanya savings shilingi 5, shilingi 10. Kwa hivyo tukipata kibali ya ardhi tunaanza kujenga mara moja na tutapata mikopo kutoka kwa wafadhili wengine.
This will obviously present a great lease of life for the likes of Nyambura and her group mates. Partnership between CSUDP and community-based organizations, financial institutions, and housing development partners like the National Housing Cooperative Union have translated to well-planned housing and infrastructure of acceptable standards and at affordable cost.
This project has been quite successful. In the past, what has been happening is that mainly the poor has not been able to access land due to lack of microcredit support. But then through NACHU and applying the cooperative model, we have had a breakthrough where now even financial institutions have accepted and have seen the potential of the poor in informal settlements to save and able to acquire shelter. NACHU have been able to mobilize about 29 million shillings from a total of 1371 persons. Over 60% of them are women, and youths are about 20% of that group. And so this team has been able to acquire up to 145 million in credit. An interesting thing about the NACHU model is that the house is built incrementally. So you don't have to complete the whole house. You can start with a small room, and then finally, with your ability, you are able to complete the other rooms. Because the idea here is to ensure that you have a comfortable and decent housing.
And CSUDP is not blind to recurrent evictions that largely affect poor urbanites. The program collaborates with Economic and Social Rights Center, Haki Jamii Trust, to influence policy, to improve governance, promote integrated urban planning, and slum upgrading options with particular emphasis on economic empowerment. So far, Haki Jamii has succeeded in setting the precedent for public interest litigation on the right to adequate housing and evictions on behalf of over 1,000 Garissa residents, upgrading the eviction and resettlement guidelines into a national bill. The organization has also got endorsement of the slum upgrading and prevention policy formulation by the Ministry of Housing.
They managed to influence the establishment and formation of Urban Housing Coalition, jointly with other partners that are working in the sector. And with the support of CSUDP, we have been able to jumpstart the process of national slum urban prevention policy.
Beneficiaries like Joyce Nyamusi now breathe easy and hold previous slum frustrations only as mere memories.
Nyumba ilikuwa juu ni mabati, chini ni makaratasi. Na hiyo nyumba hata mlango ilikuwa saa zingine sio mlango ya kawaida. Watu wengine huwa walikuwa wanaweka pasia tu kama mlango mwenye hujaweza kupata hata ile mbao ya kuweka kwa hiyo nyumba. Sasa ikafika wakati mmoja tu mimi niliamka asubuhi. Bila uamka saa 11 nikaenda soko, nikabeba pesa zangu, nikaenda nikafanya shopping. Nilikuwa nimenunua viatu, mboga, vitu saduka nilikuwa nimeweka. Sasa nilikuwa nimeweka stock ya hiyo December sasa. Nikatoka soko nikatoa vitu zangu, viatu nilikuwa naanika nje na mboga. Duka ilikuwa ndani na kisiagi sasa. Kidogo tu sasa ile nimeanika hii mali yangu yote, nilisikia watu wakikimbia kutoka kwa gemu, juu tuko karibu na fence ya gemu. Ati trakta imekuja hapo juu na tunabomolewa. Dakika tu kidogo nilipata trakta kutoka juu na ikapita na mali yangu mingi sana. Kwa hivyo tunasema hii ilikuwa baraka. Hata ingawa ilikuwa hasara, imerudi kuwa baraka kwa sababu ni wengi wetu, hata mimi mwenyewe. Sikukuwa najua kuna siku moja naweza kuja nikae kwa nyumba ya mawe kama yenye naona pale. Kwa hivyo ilikuwa ni baraka kutoka kwa Mungu.
Within the slum population also lie the young people who graduate from schools every season. Some of the youths fail to join colleges, citing lack of fees. This denies them proper job opportunities.
Any part of your body that doesn't function well will affect the rest of the body. And it could be a very small part of that body, such as the small space where the informal people occupy. They occupy a very small percentage of every urban space. But yet, if that area is not functioning well, you start to have problems with supply of labor. You start to have problems with insecurity. You start to have problems with all manner of social evils that you could do away with, including prostitution, drugs, and everything else.
Mimi mwenyewe sana nikiwa seko, nilikuwa natembea na maboy wengi sana. Unapata hata mimi nilijipata nimeingia natembea na bad boy. Sasa lunch ikifika wale maboy wananishaniaje wewe uko down. Watu ndio hivi tukubaye lunch. Unaona? Sasa mimi nikienda tu nanibaye lunch. Sasa mimi nikaanza kuona ama boy wewe udunga poa. Mimi nakamtuchu nimeparara, sijakunywa chai, sijafanya nini. Sasa ikabidi nikawa join, unaona? Nikawa join. Sasa ile kuwa join ilikuwa tu ni ile crime tu. Sasa nikapata naweza sing poa. Mabesti wenye tulikuwa nao, mabesti wengi sasa hivi wengi ni marehemu, na watu wengi sana wamededi, wengine wa madona raia, wengine wa madona gava.
That is why CSUDP supported Uwezo Awareness Youth Group to establish interactive learning service provision center that has nurtured underprivileged urban youths in their hundreds.
We have to realize that the global economy is moving towards a knowledge economy, in that having skills which a person can sell or use to earn a livelihood is becoming much more important in the day than production of probably raw goods and services.
We've been able to develop a software, a demo software called Simumenta. What happens in this demo Simumenta is an active approach to learning, whereby we have interactive learning applications developed in multimedia format, and we also have collaboration strategies and assessments put in a software, and it's distributed to students or aspiring trainee in groups, and they support each other in teach-back mechanism systems. Now, in this Simumenta, you can choose a concept. The students will come here and click this concept and choose amongst this concept. There are 8 of them. Now, when the student comes, he'll come and choose a lesson from here. First of all, the first thing is to register for the lesson. The student will click the registration. He will move through this. After that, you'll go to the first lesson, which is the first is a simulated classroom. As you can see, this is the lecturer here.
Strategy planning and the marketing strategy planning process, and I'll describe the strategy decision areas of the marketing mix.
After the lecturer, after you've listened, that's just like one concept. You will come and have a recap of what you've learned. Then after that, student will take a formative assessment. And as in this question is a multiple choices question, where the question is marketing concept as a guiding philosophy for organization. Is that true or false? The answer is true, could be true or false. For example, if I click false and I check the answer, that is incorrect. The answer is supposed to be is true. So after that, the student will go to this other lesson.
The group has been facilitated to search talent and train youth in performing arts in order to fully exploit their inherent potential.
Nilikuwa na talent but sikuwa najua Umesikia mimi naweza imba sai na before niitwe si nilikuwa najonga sauti yangu inaguara, I can't sing. But kwa ngoma zao hadi nimekolabo, kuna sauti yangu hapo ndani na imetoka tu poa.
Uwezo imekam na hiyo ndio ilikuwa kwanza kuturekodia song yetu ya kwanza. Na hiyo song si tulitoa kulingana na venye tunateki life iko kwa street.
Hizo ngoma tuli release under Uwezo.
Na ile music kuna studio ya Coach community radio station imekuwa ikicheza hiyo song. Na hiyo song kila mtu mwenye ako pale kwa community ana access ile music, alafu anakuta ule mtu ameimba ni mtu local. Sasa mtu huko nje ni mtu wanakutana naye mtaani daily, tunabonga. Na pia tukikutana nao tunabonga nao ma youth.
Like unapata vijana wale ma idol tumefundisha how wanaweza anza small businesses.
Part of the untapped potential is the fact that the youth are engaged in human rights awareness campaigns besides being absorbed into responsible citizenship initiatives.
Most of the youth, as informed by our baseline survey, have been victims of human rights abuses, and the community in general experiences day-to-day human rights abuses. This can be from things like lack of access to basic services, education, water, food, to things like outright extrajudicial killings of the youth, unlawful imprisonment, and such. So Uwezo thought that in these communities there exists a lot of talent that goes unexploited. Most of the youth from these communities have no access to the formal education, hence no access to the formal system of employment, but they have their own talents, which if nurtured and developed, could help them have meaningful livelihoods, and also they could be used as role models and tools to preach against human rights abuses, to educate the community on what is good governance and why there is need for peaceful coexistence.
And Sisal Youth Group is making strides in keeping their neighborhoods clean, especially during rainy seasons when storm water invades their houses.
Wakati kunanyesha kwanza sasa hii inasaidia sana. Hizi mitaro zikifungana kuna watu wanaumia sana kwa manyumba. Jumazi hizi flow maji inaingia kwa manyumba za watu. Hata watu hawalali. Kila saa unaona watu wakingana na babisi na kichota maji kwa nyumba. Alafu pia kitu kingine tunajaribu kuzuia magonjwa.
Kabla hicho hapa palikuwa pa chafu sana na ilikuwa ni pale pa kutupa takataka. Ndipo sisi kama vijana tulijitolea na kuhakikisha kwamba tumetoa hizo takataka na hii choo kujengewa hapa hivi. Hii choo kando na watu kuendelea kutumia kama choo, pia kuna pia vile inahifadhi mbolea.
Such initiatives have not only created a breathing space for the poor urban residents, but have also cultivated commendable interactions with local authorities.
It's not visible, you cannot touch it, but yet the impact of it, the effect of it is tremendous. Because these people know their rights. They're able to go to government and demand their rights. They're also needing to, they don't need any help in terms of taking care of the resources that we give them. In 2008, when we had a lot of violence here in Nairobi, all the facilities that we had helped to establish in Kibera, for example, none of them was tampered with. In fact, they went a notch higher. They hired security to safeguard those facilities. That cannot happen unless they have been engaged and they know that these facilities are theirs, not marginal fantasy or the funder who is funding Maji.
We look at ourselves as trying to create products that once we take them to maturity, these products are then absorbed into the mainstream of implementation. So if we start with products such as the ones we have that we're demonstrating unique water services, we're demonstrating unique waste management services and so on. The idea is to carry this product to such a level that it is proven that actually it's viable and it can work for certain sections of our urban community. Once that is done, we then try and see how this can be mainstreamed into state functions, because the state has this larger function of providing basic services. So whether we'll be doing that through partnerships with the urban boards, urban management boards that we envisage to be formed under the Urban Areas and Cities Act, or doing it directly through engagement with the county executive. That is one option that we are actually very actively looking at.
CSUDP stands for a city for everyone, an enviable and dignified living environment which is well planned, disaster prepared, and that which promotes the rights and freedoms and the attainment of socio-economic rights for all urban residents.